My husband and I have been together for 6 years and married for 1. We have been struggling with our intimacy life for the last 4 months due to me stopping birth control and him having to wear condoms now. My intimacy drive has been much higher than it used to be, and his has decreased. When we do have intimacy, he often encounters erectile issues or issues finishing. I have been making sure he eats well and gets enough sleep. He got his testosterone level checked, and it was normal. After he lost his hard-on during intimacy the other day, I asked him again if there's anything I'm doing wrong or if there's any way I can help him. I asked him to open up to me. He admitted there is something on his mind, but he's scared to mention it, and he hasn't yet figured out how to say it without hurting me. I begged him to tell me for 2 days. By the time he finally tells me he's out of town, so it's over the phone, he wants my permission to follow his natural masculine instincts and be allowed to pursue other women. He would keep it hidden from me and never bring them to our home. He said he would never want me to be with anyone else, though. Otherwise, he thinks I'd be ruined and lose my innocence. First of all, I was not a virgin when I met this man, and he knows that. So how does that make any sense? Second of all, he said he's felt this way for 2 years. Yet he didn't feel the need to mention it before we got married. He claims he hasn't done it yet, but really wants to. And also, he only wants the hunt and intimacy, no relationship. He said he only loves me, and he said I should take this request as a compliment. I told him he barely has time for me, so why does he want to spend that time on strangers? I asked him if he thinks it's fair to spend our money on pursuing other women. He sent me this link to try to convince me this is okay and that other women allow this. He won't go to therapy. He says it's a waste of time and money. I don't even know how I can look at him after knowing this. He always said he only has eyes for me, so that was a lie, because now he's saying whenever we're out or he's out, he can't help but notice all of the attractive women around him and how he wants to hit on them or hook up. What are the chances he has already cheated? Should I refuse to sleep with him unless he gets a full STD panel? When he gets back in town, should I demand he sleep in the guest room? I'm really set on leaving him, but I'm not sure where to start. I don't even want to hear his voice or have to look at him. I can't leave until I save up money. Maybe in May I could. Edit. I'm scheduled with my doctor first thing in the morning for a full STD panel. He is going to be home in an hour, and we are going to go out for dinner to talk so that the discussion has to stay civil. I've written bullet points to discuss. I'm going to look even hotter than usual, and if he mentions it, I'm going to remind him that it's not for him anymore, lol. Edit. Just left my doctor and then called my lawyer who assisted me with the prenup, waiting on his call back. My husband agreed to sleep in the guest room and did last night. When I stepped out to go to my neighbor's house for a couple of hours last night, I came home and he was gone. He still won't tell me where he went. He stopped sharing his phone location with me. Also, he canceled our dinner reservation last night, so that never happened. But we've had a few conversations around the home, and luckily I got a really good 7-minute recording of him sounding insane last night. He goes back and forth between saying he loves me and wants me, and then saying he never wanted to get married but doesn't regret it, and I'm perfect. But he will never be sexually satisfied with me. He keeps asking me what I bring to the table as a wife that a girlfriend can't. I don't think no. I used to want his kids, not anymore, lol. He is making it very clear that money and business and his pleasure are his priority, not me. He is pissed I won't talk about buying this new income property he has his eyes on that he needs me on the mortgage for. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. What are the chances he has already cheated? Hi. Should I refuse to sleep with him unless he gets a full STD panel? Yes. When he gets back in town, should I demand he sleep in the guest room? Yes. Don't play around with STDs. I'm really set on leaving him, but I'm not sure where to start. Talk to a lawyer. They'll be able to walk you through the next steps. Comment 2. He's most likely acted on it already and took the opportunity to ask you now since you asked him the question. You need to get checked for STDs stat. He's not a good man. He's completely bullshitting you to sell you on this so he can finally just do it openly. Make an exit strategy. I'm very sorry you're going through this. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, back with another update on the situation with my husband. It's been a busy 3 days since my last post, and I've got some major news to share. After my husband canceled our dinner reservation and refused to tell me where he went that night, I was fuming. I couldn't believe he had the audacity to just leave without a word, especially after everything that had happened. But I had to keep my cool because I knew I needed to be strategic about my next steps. The next morning, I got a call back from my lawyer. We went over the prenup and discussed my options. It turns out I was in a much better position than I thought. My lawyer assured me that if it came to divorce, I would be protected financially. That was a huge relief, but I still felt a knot in my stomach about the whole situation. Meanwhile, my husband was still sleeping in the guest room, and the tension in the house was thick enough to cut with a knife. He tried to act like nothing was wrong, but I could tell he was on edge. He kept trying to bring up the income property he wanted to buy, but I shut that conversation down every time. I wasn't about to tie myself to more shared assets with a man who clearly didn't respect me. On the second day, things took an unexpected turn. My husband came to me, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him. He confessed that he had gone to see an old friend the night he disappeared, someone who had always given him tough love. This friend had apparently given him a reality check about how absurd and hurtful his request had been to me. My husband broke down, apologizing profusely for everything. He said he realized he had been taking me for granted and that the thought of actually losing me had scared him straight. I was skeptical, to say the least, but then he did something I never expected. He handed me his phone, unlocked, and told me he wanted to be completely transparent with me. He had deleted the link he sent me about other women allowing their husbands to cheat and replaced it with links to couples therapy and articles on rebuilding trust. He also showed me a text to his friend, thanking him for the wake-up call. I was shocked. This was the man I married, the one who used to be so considerate and open with me, but I wasn't ready to just forgive and forget. I told him that actions speak louder than words, and if he was serious about making things right, he would need to prove it, and prove it he did. He booked us an appointment with a highly recommended couples therapist for the next day. He also took the initiative to get a full STD panel done without me even asking, and he shared the results with me, all clear. The therapy session was intense. We both laid everything out on the table, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were actually communicating. The therapist helped us understand where our communication had broken down and gave us tools to start rebuilding our relationship. It's only been 3 days since that session, but the change in our home is palpable. My husband has been attentive, helping around the house, and making an effort to reconnect with me on an emotional level. He's also been respecting my space, understanding that I need time to heal from the hurt he caused. Last night, he surprised me with a home-cooked dinner, something he hadn't done since our early dating days. We talked for hours, not just about us, but about everything and anything, like we used to. It felt like a weight had been lifted off both of our shoulders. I know we have a long road ahead of us, and I'm still cautious about the future. But for the first time in months, I feel hopeful. I can see the man I fell in love with coming back to me, and I'm willing to give him and us a chance to make this right. We've agreed to continue therapy and take it one day at a time. Husband says his dog and puppies are enough for us, but I tell him I want my own pet. Now he's secretly planning to do this behind my back. I'd like to preface by saying we are happily married and have no other problems like this. My husband got a dog, Kira, a month after we met a few years ago, so Kira has been with us for almost our entire relationship. I love dogs, love having pets, and while she's not the breed I would have chosen, she's an absolute sweetie and we have lots of fun with her. That is not the issue. The problem is that my husband won't let me have any pets of my own. When we met, I had just moved to the town he's in for work. My plan was always to get a pet as soon as possible, and I was finally in a situation where it was realistic. His plan was to get Kira and then have puppies from her when she was older, and keep one of the puppies. He believes that because Kira got here just after we met and his plan was already in effect, he has a grandfather clause that trumps my lifelong dream of having my own pet. Essentially, he's saying that he beat me to it. He got a dog first, so now I cannot get one. He refuses to have any more dogs in the house. He will not allow another dog unless it's Kira and one of her puppies. My argument is that we both had a grandfather clause in place, that my dream and my plan were to have a pet as soon as possible. I don't think it's right for him to deny me this dream just because he wants to have two of the same dog. He has been open to me getting a cat, but will only allow a cat of a certain gender, age, and color. He is also mildly allergic and wants the cat to mostly live outside if so. Occasionally, I'll show him photos of dogs that I like, and he will shut it down and say that if he were to allow it, it would have to be this breed or that breed instead. I try to explain that we cannot only live his life. We are living in his town. I was meant to stay here temporarily, but he can't move anywhere else. In his house, I moved into the house he already owned with his pet. I feel like he has to compromise and allow me to fulfill this dream of mine as well. I have no problem with him having Kira or one of her puppies, but they are his dogs. He chose the breed, the gender, the color, the training methods, the activities, the equipment, etc. I would like to have a choice as well. We live in a 300 square meter house with a fenced yard, so space is not the issue. We make good money, so finances is not the issue. We have time to walk, train, and play with the dogs, so time is not the issue. We need some outside advice. Do I need to let go of my pet dream and understand we can only have the pets he's chosen because Kira was here first? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Oh please, your husband is being a tool, a controlling tool. You have just as much of a right to have a pet as he does. If he is willing to keep a puppy from Kira, then this isn't about not wanting more pets at all, and that's about the only legit reason for not getting another pet, so his grandfather clause is nonsense. Interesting that everything seems to break his way, doesn't it? Comment 2. He sounds incapable of compromise. Does he generally get his way with everything? What is his reason for not allowing your ideal dog? I feel like this is very disrespectful of you. It sounds like you're a prop in the relationship, and your wants are so unimportant as to not even merit consideration. That would be a deal breaker for me. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I'm here to give you an update on the situation with my husband and our pet dilemma. So, after I shared my story, I decided to have another heart-to-heart with my husband. I reminded him of how, before we got married, we'd talked about our future and the pets we'd have. He'd always known about my dream to have my own pet, a dream I've had since I was a kid. Back then, he seemed supportive, but when I brought it up again, he just doubled down on his stance. He said that Kira was enough for our family and that adding another pet would just complicate things. I couldn't believe it. I felt like he was dismissing my feelings entirely. Then, 2 days ago, I found out something that really threw me for a loop. My husband had been secretly planning to breed Kira without telling me. He'd been talking to a breeder and had everything set up. I only found out because I overheard him on the phone finalizing the plans. I was shocked. Not only had he gone behind my back, but he was also making decisions that would affect our whole family without even consulting me. It felt like a betrayal. When I confronted him, things got heated. He said he thought I would be excited about the puppies, but I was just hurt that he hadn't included me in the decision. I told him that it wasn't just about the puppies. It was about respect and partnership in our marriage. The argument ended with him storming out and me left alone, feeling heartbroken. I had always thought we were a team, but now it felt like he was just calling all the shots. The next day, he came back and apologized. He said he hadn't realized how important this was to me and that he'd been selfish. He offered to cancel the breeding plans, but the damage was done. I couldn't shake the feeling of being sidelined in my own marriage. We decided to take a break from the topic and just focus on each other for a while. But it's been hard. Every time I look at Kira, I'm reminded of the whole situation. Yesterday, I was cleaning out some old boxes and found a photo album from my childhood. There were pictures of me with various pets I'd had growing up. I remembered how much joy they brought me and how I'd always imagined sharing that joy with my own family one day. I showed the album to my husband, hoping it would help him understand why this was so important to me. He looked through it, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes. He admitted that he'd been so focused on his own vision for our family that he hadn't considered mine. He said he wanted to make it right. We talked about what kind of pet would fit into our lives, considering his allergies and our space. We agreed that a dog might not be the best option right now, but maybe a hypoallergenic cat could work. He even suggested we visit a shelter together to look at cats, something I never thought he'd do. It felt like a small victory, a step towards compromise. But then, today, just when I thought we were making progress, I found out that Kira was already pregnant. The breeder had moved faster than we thought, and now we were going to have puppies whether we were ready or not. I was floored. It felt like for every step forward, we took 2 steps back. Now, not only did we have to navigate this new challenge, but we also had to figure out what to do with a litter of puppies on the way. It's been a ride of emotions, and I'm still trying to process it all. I love my husband, and I know we'll get through this, but it's been a lot to handle. I told my boyfriend I wasn't ready for anal sex, but he ignored me and did this. I'm not sure if I can ever trust him again. Hi all. I really need to talk about this issue with someone, but it feels too personal to ask a friend about it. So basically, my boyfriend, 25-year-old male, and I, 24-year-old female, have been together for almost 7 years. We started as friends in high school and have always gotten along and been very close. We started living together this time last year. We virtually had no real huge problems for the length of time we've been together. Childhood sweethearts, love of my life, yada yada. Yesterday we were having intimacy, and we recently have been experimenting with me using a small butt plug during intimacy for about 4 days. I enjoy the intimacy toy moderately. It can occasionally feel uncomfortable during intimacy, but for the most part it's pleasurable. So we were using it last night, and once we finished, we were cleaning up and all was good. I mentioned that we may have to buy a bigger plug since I was getting used to the size of the first one. He started joking about releasing in my butt the next time we did it, but I explicitly told him no, and I wasn't ready because I knew it would hurt. After all, the current plug was probably half the size of his erect weenie. Once we were ready to go to bed, we decided to do one more round, which we did again with the plug. However, toward the end of the act, the plug slipped out, which is common, not a big deal, but right when he was about to release, he stuffed it in my butt. This hurt as I predicted it would. He came and then I kicked him off of me. He was saying, "Sorry, don't unalive me." I asked him, "Why would you do that?" And he said, "I don't know, I'm stupid. Do I have to sleep on the couch?" And I said, "Yes." And he was saying, "No, please. I have to work tomorrow. I'm just gonna sleep here." So I said, "Okay, I can't make you do anything, so I'll go sleep on the couch," because I was so angry. He was saying, "Seriously? No, don't. I'm sorry." I told him what he did was disrespectful, and then I took the sheets to go in the living room. Morning comes, and when he gets up to work, I go to the bed to get some better sleep because the couch isn't the most comfortable for me due to my recent knee injury. I'm in the bed, and he tries to hug me goodbye like he usually does every morning, but I shrug him off of me, in full ignore mode. I feel so betrayed, disrespected, hurt, angry, and sad that he did that, and now he keeps texting me that he's really sorry and didn't mean to hurt me and all that. I believe he is sorry and was caught up in the moment, but it just doesn't feel like a good enough reason. I'm generally very forgiving, but he really crossed a huge line, and I just don't know what to do. I feel like my trust in him is damaged, and I'm kinda lost. What steps can we take as a couple to get past this? He's my best friend, and I don't want to leave him. Thanks everyone for the advice. I'm still processing everything, and I do recognize that it was attack. We've talked, and he also recognizes now how serious this incident was. I showed him this thread as well, and told him to do research into consent and attack. He has agreed to going soon to therapy with me and says he will do anything to heal our relationship and regain my trust. Like I said, we've been together for 7 years, and he's never violated me like this before. He walked me through his mentality at the time, and he simply was too ignorant to realize the extremity of the damage his action would cause, as we tend to push boundaries with each other. But this is our newest experience in a while. He was excited and just didn't think it through. Of course, this doesn't change the fact that it was indeed butt stuff rap, and I know it isn't my fault because I did explicitly tell him no. He also apologized about the whole couch thing and regrets it. He says he understands if I want to take legal action and/or leave him. I don't quite forgive him yet, and frankly, I feel like I'm still in shock. We're taking space from each other, and I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. Or really, 1 minute at a time. I'm trying to figure out how to talk to someone in my life about it, but it's just so difficult. Usually he's the one I'd talk to about something like this. Thanks again for the support, everyone. 3. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So he rapped you. He knew you did not want to have butt stuff intercourse with him, and he chose to do it anyway. He is not sorry. I believe he is sorry and was caught up in the moment. He was aware enough in the moment to engage in butt stuff intercourse with you when he knew you didn't want him to. He isn't sorry he did it. He's sorry that you're mad at him. It wasn't a mistake, like washing the dishes with hand soap instead of dish soap because the containers look similar. It was a choice. And then he wouldn't even go sleep on the couch. Comment 2. Sorry, don't unalive me. Pequels, I know exactly how bad that was, but I know you're too nice to actually hold me accountable. Please don't allow this to just pass without some kind of reaction. That could be leaving him. It could be therapy. It could be a consent contract. It could be what you feel is appropriate to ensure he never violates you again and understands the magnitude of what he did. Now for the update. Hey everyone, I wanted to give you all an update after the outpouring of support from my last post. It's been a month since the incident with my boyfriend, and a lot has happened. I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything, so bear with me as I try to get this all out. First off, we did start therapy, like I mentioned we would. It's been an experience. We've had a few sessions, and it's brought up a lot of emotions. The therapist has been trying to help us navigate through the trust issues and the breach of consent. It's been tough, but I think it's helping, at least a little. But here's where things took a turn. About 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend's phone kept buzzing late at night. I tried to ignore it, but it was persistent. I wasn't snooping, but when he went to the bathroom, his phone lit up with a notification that was hard to miss. It was a message from someone named Jess, and it said, "I miss you." My heart sank. I confronted him about it the next morning. He tried to brush it off, saying Jess was just an old friend from college, but I wasn't buying it. I pressed him, and he finally admitted that he had been talking to her for a few months. He insisted it was nothing serious, just catching up, but I felt betrayed all over again. How could he do this while we were trying to fix our relationship? I was furious and hurt. I told him he needed to cut off all contact with Jess if he wanted to make things work with us. He agreed, but the damage was done. I felt like I couldn't trust him at all anymore. In the midst of all this, I've been dealing with my knee injury. It's been a constant reminder of the discomfort I felt on the couch that night after the incident. I've been going to physical therapy, and it's slowly getting better, but it's just another thing on my plate. Now here's the real kicker. Last week, I was at work and I got a call from a mutual friend of ours, Mark. He was hesitant at first, but then he told me something that made my blood boil. Apparently, my boyfriend had bragged to him about the butt plug incident, laughing it off like it was some kind of joke. Mark said he felt uncomfortable about it and thought I should know. I was livid. After everything, after the therapy and the apologies, he was out there making light of something that had hurt me so deeply. It felt like a slap in the face. When I confronted my boyfriend about it, he tried to deny it at first, but I could tell he was lying. He finally broke down and admitted it, saying it was a stupid mistake and that he was just trying to act tough in front of his friend. I didn't know what to do. I felt like every time we took a step forward, we took 2 steps back. It's been a constant cycle of apologies and mistakes, and I'm exhausted. We're still going to therapy, and he's still saying he'll do anything to fix things, but I'm starting to wonder if it's worth it. Can I ever really trust him again? Can our relationship ever be what it was before? I've been spending a lot of time with my family lately, trying to get some perspective. They've been a huge support, and it's been nice to have people to talk to who are outside of the situation. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.